I'm Ali Patterson. On this episode, we're looking how to optimize the customer experience. Thanks to social media, comparison sites, and easier switching, the age of the customer is upon us, and they're not afraid to speak with their feet. With a greater need than ever before to invent new ways of engaging and serving customers, we ask, does improving the customer experience come at a cost? For this, we look at Nationwide to understand their way of thinking and why they're at the forefront of delivering great customer service. So I've come to Nationwide to speak to Ian Thompson about their customer service operations.
I think it's really, really important for Nationwide to be number one. We have won many awards. Our key measure is something called the FRS measure, where people are stopped in the high street, phoned up at random, asked about their brand. We've been number one on that survey for just more than 2 years now, which we're immensely proud of that. I think if you're a member-owned business, it's absolutely critical that you are number one for customer service. I think there's lots of things that you have to do. Clearly, you have to have that within your DNA. If you walk into any of our branches or if you walk into any of our administration centres, hopefully you would get the absolute passion for the customer, our pride values, which are our internal values. And that goes through when we hire people, when we develop people. One of the fundamental things we're testing is attitude to provide service. But you don't just get customer service through attitude, I don't think. You have to have a number of processes, your IT systems have to be really good. You know, within our organisation, any change we make, we absolutely robustly test for what's going to be the impact on the customer of that change. If it's negative, we really think about why we should be doing it then. That sort of inculcates all of our management processes. So as well as the attitude that we have in our people, that's how you stay number one for more than 2 years.
A few things Ian said stuck with me about change and flexibility to customer IT. So I went to see Mapsoft, a small but very innovative UK software company who have been doing some very interesting things in financial services, especially with Nationwide.
With the customer services focus, a lot of it's about making business processes more efficient. So if we were looking at Nationwide, for example, they have over 30 different installations of our technology across their business, managing high volume customer facing areas such as mortgage applications, ISAs. We distribute a lot of their text alerts and messaging for them using the same fundamental platform. Again, it's all about delivering a better customer experience, empowering the customer by proactively giving them information that gives them confidence that they are being treated as an individual and in a timely and efficient way. You have an opportunity to drive out a tremendous amount of avoidable contacts from your contact centre, so reducing that unnecessary telephone traffic means that you can process things much quicker. You can offer a much better service where the customer feels in control, and when they do need to phone up, they're not sat in an IVR queue while the processing staff are dealing with chaser calls. They get straight through and they get dealt with in a really timely fashion. Across other organisations that we've worked with, we work with Santander extensively, for example, managing their telephone direct and broker channels for mortgage applications using the same technology. We deliver a very good service to brokers, and I think at one point earlier this year we had about 30% of mortgage applications in the UK touching our technology in some form or other.
What Martin said about the mortgage application caught my attention, as for most customers, it's probably the largest purchase they're ever going to make, where 0.1% can make a huge difference. So I asked Ian from Nationwide about their track and trace service.
Our customers a few years ago were saying, well, I've sent in my application form, I've heard nothing, you know, what's going on? I'm trying to capture a really good rate. Interest rates tend not to be there for very long. What's happening? They were phoning us up, ringing the branches and so on. So we implemented a sort of track and trace facility, very simple track and trace, an SMS message when the form was received. I think it was a paper form in those days. Updates via SMS, a link that you can go online and see where your case is. And that's created a very good customer experience, actually saved us money because people didn't phone up, didn't go to branches and so on. We've extended that to other products like transferring your current account and for mortgages. So if you're in the process of applying for a mortgage with Nationwide, then you can find out where your case is, what we're waiting for, where the solicitor is, and all that sort of stuff.
I wanted to know more about how this was actually enabled, but more importantly, how flexible and agile this is and why. So I asked Martin about the genesis of the Mats platform.
We come from a digital marketing background, unlike many software businesses. Decided in 2012 that we needed to look at a new way of doing things rather than having a code base and a big professional services team. building custom solutions for people, albeit it worked very well. We thought there was a way of doing it that meant that we could empower our customers and our partners to build and configure solutions on a platform. So in 2013 we built what is now called LowCode, and it seems that the timing was good. It's a very efficient way of doing things, and we're now moving forwards to grow our business here and in the US based on delivering a LowCode offering.
While at Mapsoft, I was lucky enough to speak to Richard Billington, who explained to me what LowCode is and how it works.
A low-code development platform enables a business to deploy web applications without sort of traditionally going to IT and bringing in developer resource. So whereas previously you would have been coding, writing lines of traditional code to deploy a web application into that organisation, instead business users with a relevant background can configure solutions upon our platform utilising the toolset that we make available. Well, Mats is a cloud-based solution, so it runs on web architecture, allowing it to be deployed a lot quicker than traditionally bringing in servers and deploying it sort of within a network. Now we can deploy on-premise as well, but it's still delivered over the web, which means that solutions can be configured via a browser, which is obviously a lot quicker again than going back and bringing in a development resource to build out that application. A company would know they need a low-code solution when they have change they need to implement within their organisation and they're unable to get that from their IT departments. IT departments have a big enough job as it is maintaining the infrastructure that runs the organisation, and they can't react as quickly as the individual business units require them to when the market changes. If they're finding that the only way they can implement that change is by bringing in spreadsheets and databases or indeed manual or paper-based processes, then actually the alternative for them would be a low-code platform like Mats.
I went to speak with Darryl Wilkinson, who heads up innovation at Nationwide, to see what part of the business his team are working towards to enable customers.
So we'll understand from our retail strategies the developments that they're trying to bring to market and ideas they might have, curiosity they might have around new technology, new trends, and we'll work together to deploy. That could be channels. We will have conversations with our customer services team to understand what they're trying to deploy, and then bring in the architecture team. So we have an architect in my team, but of course we have an architectural team, much greater scale than what I've got, that we reach out to understand from a technical perspective what the art of the possible is with the innovation that we may be working on with those stakeholders that I've mentioned. So we're looking to do a few things. One is to offer better ways of interacting with us, be that research and information, sales or servicing, but we're also looking for better ways for employees to deliver those services. So it's not always just about what the member needs, it's sometimes about what the employee needs to serve that member better.
Enabling the employee to serve the customer is part of the ethos that Nationwide has to be number one for customer experience. But how can you give a better customer experience and lower cost?
It's all the more important now because the customer is empowered through digital channels and the way that they can communicate. So customer experience has become a priority across all business verticals, and financial services being no exception.
You're delivering the holy grail, improving customer experience whilst at the same time reducing costs.
Yes. There's some very tangible examples of how that works. Across mortgages, they save an average of anything between 3 and 5 telephone calls per application. At the same time, you're doing your Net Promoter Score analysis and you're talking to your customers and researching how they benchmark your organisation versus competitors, and consistently organisations that adopt a proactive communications approach score more highly, which is why Nationwide typically tops the league tables for customer service. I think that spreads across a whole range of other verticals and a whole other range of service providers within financial services and insurance as well. And there's a body of information there that's pretty much undeniable about the efficiencies. And it's not necessarily about efficiencies for the sake of cutting staff or cutting costs. It means that you can use your resource more intelligently. And so the whole thing is about engaging with people and using your information to deliver personalised services which delights the customer.
MatsSoft provide a number of services for us. They originally started off as our track and trace system for mortgages, and we've extended that service out to savings products and banking products so that customers can see the status of their application. And that's really important to them. It lets them know where things are, and actually it stops them phoning us up or going to the branches and so on. We've also used MatsSoft as an internal workflow system. So in terms of joining up to the sort of front and the back office and moving work around. And we use it to create intelligent forms at the front end or service requests so that people at the front, either in the branches or in telephony, can fill in a form and can ask something to be done, and it'll be done sort of in the next 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and actually they can see where it's gone. So track and trace, workflow, and intelligent forms we've used MatsSoft for. So I think those would be really good examples of fairly simple, relatively cheap, easy to implement systems that provide great customer service, easily pay for themselves, and actually do help, maintain Nationwide as the #1 service provider.
So for a CIO, where does a low-code platform like Mats sit, and where would it be used?
The Mats platform gives a CIO a tool set. It gives them a way of implementing change rapidly. And while they'll almost certainly have other solutions for managing business issues, by bringing in the Mats platform, they can build out a range of solutions consistently, have one platform to support and maintain, and the solutions can be developed rapidly and cost effectively when compared to older incumbent solutions. I think Gartner state that 45% of IT projects now originate outside of central IT. So these are business units that have issues to resolve, and as a result they need solutions to do so. The Mats platform will give them that, but it will give them consistency across all of the business units as opposed to individual areas going out and procuring software that solves the issues that they've got.
Tech is changing so quickly, and we see an awful lot of developments that I think will fall by the wayside. So we don't want to be first all the time with our deployments. When we are, it's great, celebrate, it's nice. It's not really the goal. The goal is to get it right. So my team will be keeping the finger on the pulse and assessing where and when we might want to invest and for what outcome in concert with the stakeholders. So it's going to be about innovation. It's going to be about innovation that I think is achievable within the next 3 years, which is responsive to the customer trends, responsive to the member needs, both current and future, and really ensures that we stay relevant. Because there's a danger if you don't do these things, you don't invest in telling the story of the things that you do, people misunderstand and assume that you're lagging behind. And of course that's not what we want, and that's not where we are.
On the next episode, we head out to Austria to speak to UniCredit and Smart Engine about customer loyalty. We also head to Brussels to speak to Worldline